Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today I want to talk about the Stamina Dragonknight dual wield bow build for the Dragonhold DLC. I'm Alcast from alcasthq.com. Make sure to subscribe and ring the bell. So a lot of things changed, including a brand new ability, Stone Giant. I will explain this one in detail because it's very important. But first off, like always, I will go through the basics, then I will show you a combat metrics parse, rotation, and then the outfit. Written guide, like always, on the website. We have the Shadow Mundus Stone. Now when I actually have raid buffs, we have like 17.2k health, which is more than enough, and about 1.4k stem recovery, which is also nice. Race Orc is still the best, 258 weapon damage, 2k stamina, and 1k health. That's how we get to like 17.2k health in the raid, which is nice. Other races don't necessarily have this, but you can run any stamina based setup. Buff food, Arterium takeaway broth, or the dubious Cameron throne, whatever you prefer. And weapon power, you want to have these to give brutality, savagery, and endurance, all major buffs, and also a lot of extra stamina. Please don't forget medicinal use, so you can keep these buffs up 100% of the time, because otherwise these only last like 30 or 35 seconds. Gear. We go back to the old setup. Maelstrom dual wield is simply not worth it anymore. 2 valid ref, 5 relican, 5 locastids. All medium divine stamina enchants. Now please keep in mind relican. A lot of people make this mistake. Relican is only good in pure single target fights. If you have to swap targets or on trash packs, this set is useless. I do have an AoE setup on the website, like always. There's also beginner setups and alternative gear, because I know this stuff is quite difficult to get. You don't need perfect gear. Imperfect versions are still better than anything else out there. Please keep that in mind. Now here, 3 bloodthirsty and full weapon damage. Then we have Locastid's axe with Nernhound and a dagger with sharpened. You can run the axe here and the dagger here, it doesn't matter. But one thing you need to remember is that Nernhound needs to be on the main hand. Because when Nernhound is on the main hand, it will give you more overall weapon damage. On the offhand it will be less because of a passive. Damage, health, poisons. Deal a lot of poison damage, especially on a Dragonknight. Then on the back bar we have the Master's Bow infused with weapon damage enchantment. You could still run a Maelstrom Bow, but the Master's Bow is a tiny little bit better, but both are viable, okay? So don't worry too much about it if you don't have this. That's the gear setup. Now we only front bar Locastid, so one thing you have to remember is when we activate this, it gives us, like when we activate the synergy, we get the Slayer buff. So if you activate the synergy on the back bar, you will not get the buff. So you only activate synergies on the front bar. Champion points. Pretty standard setup. We need 61 points in here. I do have 300, 600, and 810 setups on the website. Red champion points. In the trial section you can find the optimized red CP for each trial, so you can mitigate more damage and you might not die as often. This here is just a pretty standard red CP setup. The most important are the damage ones, the blue here. There's also guides in the beginner section for all that stuff, and 300 and 600 setups, so make sure to go check it out. Now, before we check out the skills, I want to talk about Stone Giant, because this is like, this skill got reworked. It is very powerful. So slam an enemy with solid rock, dealing 9k damage, physical damage, and applying a stack of stagger to them for 6 seconds, which increases their damage taken by 45. Enemies who are affected with stagger 3 times are stunned for 3 seconds and have all stacks of stagger removed from them. Now in PvE, you can keep the stagger up 100% of the time. And why is that important? You want a DK in your raid group, because 3 times 45 doesn't sound like a lot of damage, but it counts for your whole group. And for each ability, on each ability, this damage bonus will be applied for your whole group. So that's a lot of extra damage. The reason why you can keep it up 100% of the time is you cannot stun bosses. They're immune to stun. That's why you can keep it up 100% of the time. Whereas in PvP, the enemy gets stunned and loses the stagger for a short duration. This is more like, I think this skill got reworked mostly with a focus for PvE. Because using this 3 times to stun enemy and he can dodge roll and all that stuff, it just seems like a lot of work. But anyway, this here is 9k damage, and when we compare this to, I don't know, this here Wrecking Blow is like 10k, but this here has a cast time, whereas this is instant, so it's very powerful. It's very powerful. On top of that, it's in the Orphan Heart skill tree and has a lot of other benefits. When you cast an Orphan Heart ability, you and your group gain minor brutality for 20 seconds, increasing weapon damage by 10%. Now tanks usually use the shield here anyway, so the group has that buff already, but if you're in combat, you also generate free ultimate every 6 seconds. So it has a secondary benefit that we now also have. In previous DPS builds, we didn't benefit from this because we didn't use any of these skills. And when you cast an Orphan Heart ability, you restore 990 stamina. So a lot of people said, well, Stone Giant is very expensive. They're not wrong, but because we have Helping Hands, it actually gets very cheap. Cheaper than most other spammables. It only costs like 2k. So that's a lot of things. Now I'm not sure. I have like the impression that Sauce might move this up to the DPS section here and move the chains down at some point. But for now it's here, okay? There is a lot of secondary benefits this skill has. Very, very powerful. I don't like the animation. I don't like the sound. But because I'm a meta slave, I'm gonna use it. It's that simple. Now skills. Barber Trap. You want to have this because of minor force, 10% more critical damage. Venomous Claw, one of the most powerful dots. Then we have Noxious Breath. We have Soul Splitting Trap. You can use the other morph if you want to, but this here is just more AoE damage. Flawless Dawnbreaker, we simply have this for Slayer, so we get like 6% more weapon damage. This is 3%, this is another 3. Backbar, Arrow Barrage. AoE dot and single target dot, again Barber Trap because I have nothing else to slot here. Poisoning Injection, another strong dot, especially used because we have the Master's Bow to keep the extra 300 damage up from Poisoning Injection, 300 weapon damage. Flames of Oblivion costs Magicka, so like this here costs Magicka and this here, so that's why we don't really have sustain issues on this character. You have like 2 skills in the rotation that cost Magicka. Deals a lot of damage. Now this here gives major savagery, but just ignore this because we only have it on the back bar and we already get savagery from weapon power potions. But it deals a lot of damage, so use it and Vigor here. Or slot another fighter skill if you don't need any healing abilities to get a little bit more weapon damage. Standard of the Might as your ultimate, because it's just the strongest one, it buffs your damage by a lot. So standing in the area increases your damage done by 15%. I think 2 years ago this gave like 25 or 20%. Poor standard. Anyway, it's still the strongest ultimate. Looking at the combat metrics parse. That's not the one. So I had a dynamic rotation and got like to 83, and with the static it's basically the same thing, so just use a static rotation. Most people will lose DPS with dynamic rotations anyway, so a static rotation is most likely always better. The full rotation is all on the also on the website, link in the description below if this goes a little bit too fast. So analyzing the parse. Light attack here. That's like 2 light attack, that's 14k overall damage. So you really need to learn to do light attacks between abilities. On that matter, how do you do the light attacks when you weapon swap? Because there is always confusion. And a lot of people forget to do the ability when the light attack when they weapon swap. So what you do is use some sort of abilities, light attack ability, light attack weapon swap ability, right? So when I do this fast, it looks like this. It's instant cast. Whereas when you do like light attack ability, weapon swap, light attack ability, it gives you like a short, like it takes longer to cast the endless, the arrow barrage, right? So you really want to do ability, light attack, weapon swap into this. And another important thing, gameplay, quick cast, ground abilities. Because now I only have to press the thing once, so it instantly goes off, right? If you have quick cast, ground abilities off, you have to double tap it. And it will take a lot longer, right? So you handicap yourself if you don't have this. Turn it on. Now when you go from the back bar to the front bar, it's the other way around. You do light attack ability, weapon swap, light attack ability. That way we have more time on the front bar, where we have more stats active. Like the 4 and 5 piece bonus are not active on the back bar. But on the front bar we have the weapon damage and the weapon crit. So yeah, that's how you do it. Rotation. It's very simple overall. So we reapply some buffs a little bit early, like trap, but it doesn't matter. It's all like, it's basically 0 DPS difference. Let's actually go back here real quick. So the light attacks, a lot of damage, 12 from front bar and 2k from the bow back bar light attacks. Stone Giant, your second highest DPS skill, 10 or almost 11k DPS, and you see it hits like a truck in execute especially. Plus it gives you all these other benefits. Then Relican, 10k, very strong set. Arrow Barrage, Venomous Claw, I use Consuming here instead of the other morph. Flames of Oblivion, Pinblade and Blunt. This is free DPS. If you have an Ox, it's almost 4k DPS for just having an Ox slotted because of the dual wield. There. Each Ox gives your melee attacks an 8% chance to bleed enemies for 14k damage. Now the super good players, they probably could jam out another 2 to 3k DPS because they usually also bash. Bashing also deals a lot of damage, but it drains your sustain, right? And you need to remember it, it will complicate the rotation, so I don't really recommend doing it. Unless you're very experienced. Anyway, now the rotation. When we look one last time at the debuff, Stonefist, it almost 100% uptime, so that's the free thing. What you want to do is, because the stagger has like a stagger, like enemies who are affected with stagger 3 times are stunned for 3 seconds. And up there, applying a stack of stagger to them for 6 seconds, so it holds 6 seconds. Not sure. Oh, it's probably from the start. Yeah, okay. On the back bar, so before you engage, always activate Flames of Oblivion, and then you use the Arrow Barrage, Poisoning Injection, you weapon swap, and light attacks between each abilities. First thing you do is a Stone Giant, then you drop the trap, you apply Noxious Breath, Soul Splitting, then you spam Stagger 3 times. You do Venomous Claw, you weapon swap, you reapply Arrow Barrage, Poison Injection. And you weapon swap again. Stone Giant, Trap, Noxious, Soul Splitting, this here 3 times. Then Venomous Claw and weapon swap again. Now if you reapply Flames of Oblivion on the back bar or you use your ultimate, you do the same thing on the front bar, but instead of 3 times Stone Giant, you only use 2. Then you use Claw and weapon swap. Right? And if you don't reapply any of the buffs, you do 3 Stone Giants instead of 2. then claw again, and weapon swap. Really simple. It's always the same, and every second rotation, when you have to reapply flames or the standard, before you apply claw, you only do 2 instead of 3. I think it's easier when you check out the website. It's like explained there better. That's about the stagger thing. So you can have a really high uptime on it. And the rotation doesn't change from 0 to, like, from 100% to 0. It's always the same thing. You could use a dynamic rotation because, like, we reapply Barber Trap too soon, Noxious Breath a little bit too soon, but overall it's just not worth it. Noxious Breath, it also looks like it has really low damage, but keep in mind, these here are like 2 damage ticks. One is the upfront damage and the other one the dot. So it's still 5k overall damage. And it's also nice on trash fights. So did we forget anything important? So overall, I like what the skill does. It's a very nice addition, and it really helps Stam DK be relevant this patch or from now on. But let's see. I think they're not. I'm not sure if they will, because a lot of people complained about the animation. So I hope we get a new animation. It looks like you throw poop, and I don't want my Stam DK to throw poop. Anyway. Outfit, Dragonbone, outfit style, full here. I just have like the basic Lockested, the Master Bone, the back bar. And Equina Sunrise and Lamaeus White. That's the whole outfit. If you have any questions, ask me in the comment section below. You can check out a few other skills and websites and videos, either in the link or just click on the videos here. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the juicy like button, and we will see us soon. Cheers.